Hey everybody, welcome back to D&J's Epic Quest. My name is Justorian for the last time, and this is...
Dereker, maybe or maybe not for the last time. It's a little unclear at this point.
Right, yeah, you're transitioning. You're in transit.
Yeah, it's a little foggy like my glass vial.
Right, yeah, there you go, spoiling shit again. Oh, fuck. Well, I mean, how you been, man? What you been up to?
Like this week, so I worked like 12 and a half hours on Monday. Like I would have hit overtime today at some point if I went to work. But I had jury duty. So that kind of sucks, but I got to work Saturday before we do the live stream. So today our jury duty, the case got dismissed like before we were going to go through like the lawyers and judge was going to do like their like interview shit, ask, to figure out who they wanted for the jury. But so it sounds like they must have settled from what I had heard. So I was done with that, I think before 10 o'clock. So I just came home and cleaned up the house and watched the first episode of the second season of Foundation and read a little bit.
I started watching the first episode of that. I got like maybe halfway through. Seems pretty interesting so far.
I like it a lot, and haven't read the books, but I would be interested to read the books for sure. I know when I talked to Moore and Lee, it was when you were not on, before you came in at the very end, when we were talking about 2001. We talked about Foundation at some point on there.
Gotcha. Fair enough. Is it because there wasn't enough excitable stuff to talk about that you talked about a different?
I don't remember how it came up, to be honest, but Maura has read the books, or one of them has read the books. I think it was Maura, but hadn't watched the show. So
looking ahead, you don't want to do a Deadhouse Gates wrap up with some type of guest, or because I feel like we're not really going to be talking with Erickson about just this book.
Right. I guess personally, I kind of feel like maybe we skip that just since we're going to have him. I think there'll be enough there where if we did do a wrap up, even though it's different people, it might get a little repetitive.
Sure.
Maybe. That's my feelings anyways.
Maybe we just play it by ear and see how that conversation goes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, cool. Well, I guess.
What about you?
Oh shit!
Don't let me talk. How have you been?
Yeah. It's been an interesting week. Definitely very interesting. Some things that even I won't say on air, but there was. I spent was it 9.5 hours in the emergency room a couple nights ago.
Oh shit! I didn't hear about that.
Yeah, my youngest daughter was complaining of stomach pains. So we went to the emergency room, and they did like a physical exam on her belly. They did an ultrasound. They did a CT scan, and all they could come up with was like an inflamed spleen. So they sent her home with some antibiotics. But of course, we got there like 9 p.m. and we left. We didn't get home until 7:30 in the morning.
Gross.
Yeah,
that sucked. That was a long night.
And then my eldest daughter, we just got back from, the Minute Clinic because I knew it was an ear infection and we just need somebody to prescribe her an antibiotic. So she's got an ear infection. So yeah, it's just been an interesting week with all three children.
Good times. Well, I mean, at least it was nothing, worse or super serious.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Any word on Silverstone's books on whether we've got somebody using the discount code?
Still have not heard anything. One thing that I don't think we've mentioned when I've done my little spiel on that is they do ship internationally. So if that was something that was maybe holding somebody back, I mean, obviously it's going to be a little bit more expensive. But if there's a U.S. author where maybe they don't have a presence in a overseas market, that would be a way to get a book you might be interested in. And I mean, 10%, it'll save you, a few bucks overall. Eat that cost a little bit up. So yeah, still waiting on somebody to use that code.
Fair enough.
I'm kind of surprised we haven't at this point, honestly.
Well, I feel like the people. I think that folks are still like catching up to our episodes. I know that they don't have as many views per se on YouTube, but I feel like somewhere down the line they will. I don't know if he has any plans to remove that code at any point, but I guess when he knows, we'll know.
Right. Maybe before you do our patron shout out, I just want to give a little shout out here. I think I sent you the message, but I got the other day I got a message from a gentleman named Tyler on Twitter who said he had just discovered our podcast and he's been listening to that, and over the next few weeks be catching up and listening to our current stuff. So Tyler, when you get there, a little shout out for you.
Awesome. Well, thanks for following along, Tyler. We appreciate that. We really do. It's, again, still very abstract. As far as our patrons, in order of subscription here, we've got Jan, the legendary picker of pies, Luciana Intrigan, Ryan, the topological, Damien, the rock of faces, Nate, fiddle me this, Shield Anvil Dylan, and then Quartermaster, Master Sergeant, Lieutenant Parker. See, I didn't screw it up this time.
No, you did good, man.
Thank you all again for your contributions. It is heavily appreciated, as you heard my bonus son say at the beginning here, which will likely only be in the uncut version of this. So
that's how it goes sometimes. But yeah, I don't know if everybody watches those videos, but I'm pretty sure Jan does. And I don't know about who else comments on. We get a lot of comments from Nate, I think, on those videos.
And Nate and Damien. So
Damien, yes.
Yeah, it's great. We love hearing from you all. We love interacting with you all. It's a good time.
Definitely read all the emails, comments, everything that nothing gets skipped over.
Nope, not at all. So this is it's a two-parter episode. Not really a two-parter, but we will be covering chapter 24 as well as the epilogue from Deadhouse Gates.
Yeah, we're here. We're at the end. Like I was telling you before, I think you hit record. I don't know that I feel fully ready for this. As much as I've been looking forward to the next book, it's going to be weird to put this one down.
It does.
Put it back on the shelf, which I know you've already done, but
yeah, it's on the shelf. I've taken out my bookmark and I've moved it to Memories of Ice. It was unreal, surreal actually, because this book has always been by my side for the last 9 months. The work, taking it to, anytime I had an oil change, and I would just wait in the lobby, and if there was reading to do or rereading. So yeah, it was weird to just put it on the shelf and take the bookmark out, and now it joins the ranks of Gardens of the Moon. It is at this point complete. I've read it all. I've read every chapter many, many times already. Anxious to read it again once all this is done, just to see that rereadability.
Yeah, definitely. It's it'll be a different experience for sure, especially once we get through the rest of the books.
Yes, it's a little bittersweet.
For sure.
But I guess that being said, you want to read off our last epigraph for the book? Well, one of them.
Sure. The priest of elder male dreams rising seas. Dusk Sathand. I'm wondering what you think of that.
The priest of elder Mael. Well, is it Mael the sea god?
I just think of like maelstrom, like a storm, and the seas, like a hurricane or something. I don't know. I feel like Mael must be short for maelstrom. Maybe it's not. Just a coincidence. I don't know.
Fair enough. Yeah, I guess I'm not sure.
That was all. I was just wondering if you were having the same thought there.
No, not at all. We've come to terms with not really having the same thought on this podcast.
That's okay.
Gardens of the Moon, we were like,
yeah, like
have an argument. It was just all agreement. And Deadhouse Gates comes along and is like, fuck you guys. Nope. You guys are gonna have some different thoughts.
Yeah, it's almost like a duel every week. Like, okay, 10 paces and turn.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's good. It's good though. Good times.
Always is. I'll start us off on our first section here of the book.
Yeah, I can definitely take it away.
Sweet.
The whirlwind opened out onto the arid plain in an explosion of dust. Strangely, black grasses lay before Shaik as she led her train forward. What she thought at first were just humped stones turned out to be bodies. She had walked onto a battlefield. The grasses were black with dried blood, and cape moths fluttered here and there over the field. Haborik said beside her that souls were in tatters. Shaik told Leoman to scout ahead. Shaik led her forces out of the whirlwind's warren. She had attached her 3 mages to a battalion each. She preferred for them to be separated. She sensed that the 3 sorcerers were ahead with their enhanced sensitivities. From all 3 came echoes of horror. Shaik took a moment to ponder if she should do the same, but decided against it. Haborik could sense her looming fear of what was to come, and asked her if she finally regretted her actions. Inside her head, we are revealed that yes, Shaik does regret, and has many of them. Starting with the vicious argument with her sister back in Unta, a hurt child, and accusing her sister of killing her parents, a reason for any child to not smile anymore. All Shaik could say to Haborik was that she had a daughter now, and that she had named this child. Haborik stated that he has yet to hear what Shaik has named her daughter. She nodded, and Leoman and his scouts disappeared behind the next rise. She told Haborik that her child rarely speaks, but when she does, she is a gift with words. In some ways, a poet's eye, as she might have become had she had the freedom, as Shaik might have become had she had the freedom. Haborik responds with some hard truths. Leoman reappeared on the distant crest and did not wave them to a quicker pace, just watched as Shaik marched her army forward. 2 riders joined at the side of Leoman. Although she couldn't make out their faces, she knew that they were Kamis Rillo and Corbolo Dam. Shaik replied to Haborik's comment earlier about feeling awe. She stated that her daughter would not be lonely. They have a few more back and forth statements about her daughter. Haborik puts it together that she had named her child Felozin. She admitted that she did, and then asked Haborik that it was a fine name, a name of such promise and innocence. Haborik said, "I wouldn't know," as tears strolled down his face. At first, she felt detached from their significance, but understood that his tears were not that of condemnation, but loss. Seeing these tears, she told Haborik that it was not worthy of grief. Had she thought a moment longer, she realized that those words broke the old man. She saw him crumple inwards. She reached out a hand to comfort the ex-priest, but withdrew it at the last second, knowing that comfort would come too late. Inside her mind, all she thought about was the word regret, and how many she had. Suddenly, Kamis Rillo was speaking and told her that he could see the goddess in her eyes. She ignored him, but rather turned her gaze towards Dam. They were surrounded by war leaders and various tribes loyal to the cause. They all had expressions of shock and horror on their faces, all but one who sat on a mule, dressed in silks as some type of priest. He seemed untroubled, and it sent a shiver down her spine. Leoman sat slightly apart from the group, and she sensed a tension between the desert warrior and the renegade fist. With Haborik at her side, she reached, and what lay beyond was a village scattered in smoldering houses and buildings, dead horses and dead soldiers. The road stretched southward, and alongside it was trees on both sides. They now approached the Aran Gate. Kamis Rillo spoke, telling Shaik to look at the Aran Gate. It was now Hood's Gate. Dom told him to shut up. They passed through the gate and came upon the first of the bloated bodies nailed to them. Shaik halted. Leoman's scouts were returning, and he snapped at them to hear their report. They stated that it does not change. More than 3 leagues, there were thousands. Haborik pulled his horse to one side and nudged it closer to the nearest tree and squinted up at the nearest corpse. Shaik was silent for a time, and without turning, she asked Dom where his army was camped. He said that they were camped just outside the city. Shaik asked if he failed to take Aran, to which he said that he did. She then inquired about the adjunct Tavor. Dom replied that her fleet had just reached the bay. Inside her mind, Shaik wonders what her sister would make of this scene. Dom continued on and said that the Malazans had surrendered and at the command of the High Fist. He adds that the Malazan Empire has lost all its great leaders. Shaik turned to Dom and, in a questioning tone, asked if they really had lost all their great leaders. Dom responded by saying that Coltane was the last of them, and this new adjunct was noble-born and untested. He confidently states that who was there to advise her? Who was left in Aaron to guide her? She turned away and stared down the Aaron way. She told Dom to withdraw his armies and to link up with hers. Dom questions this, and Shaik tells him that there is only one commander to the Apocalypse army, and to do as she says. Dom finally relinquished and agreed. Shaik then turns to Leomin and tells him to encamp his people there and to bury the bodies. Corbolo cleared his throat and asked Shaik what the plan was. She thought about this question and then told him that they will meet Tavor. But it wasn't going to be on Tavor's terms, but rather hers. Therefore, they are going to pack up and head back to Raraku. Inside her mind, she asks the goddess to aid her, to quelch her fear of her sister. The protest slowly died away, and a wind picked up behind them and moaned through the Aaron gate. Haborik could be heard asking, "Who is this?" He could see nothing, sense nothing. Who was this man? The silk-clad man finally spoke and said that it was an old man, an unhanded one, a soldier, no more than that. Haborik then turned and asked if they could hear a god laughing. The Gistal priest said that he could only hear the wind. Shaik frowned at Haborik, seeing that he seemed so small. After a moment, she turned her horse around and announced that it was time to leave, and they all had their orders. Yeah, sorry, y'all. I don't know why I fucking butchered that so much.
I understood what you were saying, but I also understand why you like questioning yourself too. But it made sense to me. I wouldn't worry too much.
All right, well, thanks. Appreciate that. Makes me feel a little better.
I'm here for you, man.
Okay. Well, my first point was when they were talking about her daughter, right? And so after she says that she has a daughter, she kind of feels Haborik's attention swing to her, sensing his wonder at the response that she gave, and then slowly understanding how it answered his question about regrets. And while the reader, we get a firsthand look at the mind of Shaik / Felazin, she doesn't really admit this to Haborik, though, but instead says that she has a daughter now. And Haborik doesn't get that at first or see how it relates, but then slowly realizes that she regrets because now she has someone to live for, which is kind of a stark contrast to where she was after leaving Skullcap. And I just think that that's a really cool character arc.
Yeah, she's definitely changed a lot, from kind of being this bratty and probably scared kid into, a commander. I'm sure this is probably one of your points, but I really liked how she just took charge at the end here. And she, tells Corbolo, Dom, and Camus Rillo, like, there's one leader. Fucking me here, fuckheads. Like, get in line. We're going back. It's like, get in the car, losers. We're going back to Raraku.
Right. You weren't behaving, so we're turning this damn car around.
But I wasn't expecting that, though, either. That kind of surprised me. But then I guess it kind of makes sense, too. Because, yeah, I feel like laying siege to a city is a hard thing to do.
Well, and I mean, it's kind of smart of her, right? Like, she's not going to face Tavor on her terms. She's going to make Tavor find her, even though Tavor doesn't know it's her yet.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's Malazan battle tactics or not. I think it's definitely interesting.
Yeah. Like I said, I didn't see it coming, but I think it's probably the better move to make.
Yeah.
Which feels weird to say, since, I guess we're kind of led to believe that they're like the bad guys, I guess,
Who, the Apocalypse?
Yeah.
I mean, I can understand where they're coming from, though. I mean, they were essentially forced to colonize. They're pissed.
Yeah, I'm not saying I don't understand that, but I mean, from reading the book, I feel like you're kind of told like these are the bad guys. Yeah, I mean, that's how I interpreted it, anyways.
That's
But
fair.
I can see how, like like you said, yeah, they were forced into line.
I guess the hard part about like me and the good guy, bad guy mentality is that both sides make fucking terrible, terrible mistakes. And they both do make terrible offenses. And I think it just portrays that one, nobody's perfect, and two, that everybody, no matter you're good or bad or what your intentions, have flaws.
Right. Yeah, I definitely agree.
The other thing that I thought was interesting is Felizin is kind of playing fast and loose with Taborik asking her about the regrets. And we kind of get a little of that regret coming out. And it was just worded differently because when she's talking about her daughter, and it kind of sounds like Shaik or Felizin before becoming Shaik maybe had aspirations to be a poet, because she says that her daughter is gifted with words, and as Fellows may have become had she the freedom to do so. So I think that that's kind of a jab at her, the way that she was raised in nobility, like, hey, you don't want to be a poet, they don't make any money type of thing. You're gonna study this stuff because you're a noble and blah blah blah, that whole spiel.
Right, like the she was robbed of a choice.
Yeah. Also, like on the other side of the coin, she's at the edge of confrontation with her sister. And how else would you feel? Anxiety, regret, doubt, perseverance, surprise. Like, I get the feeling that this is the first time in this book where she's been honest with herself in like a long time.
I think that's a solid point.
So it's just like she's coming to terms with that, like her sister is just on the other side of Aaron, likely, right? And
She's not far away.
and just that anxiety of like, the last time that they got into an argument, right? Based on the fact that she accused Tabor of killing her parents. And I don't know if that was something that was mentioned before. I feel like it was alluded to, but never really like directly spoken like that. So I wonder what this is going to do when Gano's.
Yeah, I don't know. it's gonna. The only thing I can think is it's gonna be sucked. It's gonna suck to be in the middle of them.
Yeah.
How do you pick one over the other?
I see. I don't even know. And
I don't know how you're gonna get one to see the other point of view. Either one of them. It's.
Do you think this is leading down if Gano's does find out that Tavor in fact killed his parents, do you think that this is going to make him side with the apocalypse?
I don't know. Maybe. I guess I'm still going to run with my theory that he's going to kill Tavor in the end.
Yeah.
So maybe that'll be one of the factors. He'll find out.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to say. But the other thing I really liked was Haborik kind of lays out some truth for, I guess, in this conversation about Shaik's daughter. He basically tells her that it may be a gift, but it's likely a curse for Shaik's daughter, as people invite awe, whether she wants it or not. And those people come to be really lonely within themselves. And thinking about this, is he trying to say that her daughter will be cursed because no one will be genuinely interested in the person she is inside, and mainly just glorify her for her ability with words? And I guess I think that's the direction he's going with that.
I don't think I have an answer.
That's fair enough. And then just the part where she admits that Felizin was a fine name, a name of such promise and innocence. And I like how she's doing what any parent would do, and that is to give their children a better life than she had. But also, I feel like she's sad about the loss of her innocence. I feel like these are circumstances that no child should have to be put in, especially one at her age. I feel like it's one of those things where, like, I'm a parent now. I've got somebody who looks up for me. I want them to have a better life, but at the same time is sad that they didn't get that.
Yeah, I get that. And I think it's kind of like a little bit where I was saying just a few minutes ago, she's robbed of choices. She was just thrust into this role, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very jarringly too,
Yeah, there was nothing nice about it. Yeah, you're exactly right. Jarring is a good word.
Did you catch this whole thing between Leoman and Corbolo Dom? Some type of like tension that Shaik picked up on between the two?
I guess I'm not sure. What are you? Let me hear your thoughts. So I'm going to guess probably not. I didn't pick up on it.
Okay. Well, I don't have anything elaborate or specific, but the fact that it's mentioned makes me think that there's a previous interaction here, and that maybe they know each other from when Dom was working for the Malazan army, because he's a renegade fist, right? So, and that was all because of Coltane, right? Coltane got the job. He got, heard about that, decided to join up with the Apocalypse, right? So I wonder if Leoman and Corbolo Dom have had some previous interactions with each other in battle.
Certainly possible. Yeah, I guess I didn't notice anything, but I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility by any means.
Yeah.
What else you got here?
Well, I didn't catch this until I was summarizing it, but when Haborik kind of scoots his mare or his horse a little closer to the nearest tree, he like squints up at it. And in my mind, I'm like, that's Duiker. It's Duiker. It's totally Duiker. I don't know if you thought the same. I'm assuming you did, but
I did. And like you, I don't know if I caught it the first time around, but the second time reading it, I was like, okay, it must be.
Yeah. So it's one of those things where like, I love the way that he describes action without telling you what it is that he wants you to see. And granted, sometimes as far as like my perspective go, I fall flat on that and totally miss whatever it is I was supposed to get. But I just like the way that he was just like not Duiker. Haborik scoots to the nearest corpse and squints up at it, and it has to be Duiker.
Yeah, yeah, with 1 out of 10,000 that gets singled out, I'm sure it is.
Right. And then one of the other points that I had is when Shaik wonders what her sister would make of the scene with the, all of the bodies nailed to the trees for the 3 leagues. And that's kind of what I was referring to. Like, that's what came in my mind is like what Shaik like thought about Tavor seeing this scene of devastation and horror, right? It's such a sad scene to think about, but at the same time, it's just such a striking visual, and I can imagine it in my mind so well, and it's just haunting.
I can tell you that if I was Tavor, I would be thinking that there will be no prisoners taken, and I kind of get the impression that probably wasn't going to be the case anyways. That they're probably not taking prisoners. Like we've heard a few times throughout this book that the Empire will exact its revenge, right?
Yep.
So I don't know. Is the Malazan Empire, are they going to be crucifying babies with their puppies on the same tree, to pay them back?
Right.
It might get nasty. I think it'll be pretty bad.
It definitely will be really bad. It's just crazy. And, even Haborik, even at the end of the section, is like, who is this? Still referring to Duiker's corpse. And I don't like it, but I like how it was written in there that Rel just totally discredits Duiker. And now Haborik doesn't even know that Duiker has died, right? Like Rel could have easily named him, but instead he just said it was an old man, an unhanded one, and a soldier, no more than that. Which, if you were to describe Duiker outside of old man, do you think any of that fits him?
The soldier.
But I mean, he was a historian first.
He was a soldier first and then a historian.
Well, you know what I mean. Like in his, yeah.
Well, I mean, he kind of got, I don't know. I still feel like the soldier fits just because he kind of had to. I mean, he even said himself, in a week, maybe I'll be a historian again or whatever, like
sure.
When Coltane told him. So I think that fits. Yeah, I guess I didn't have any problems.
He was playing two truths and a lie then.
There you go.
But such an asshole. Fucking Rel. Just a fucking asshole.
Well, I still think I hate Pormqual more, even though he's dead.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Even in death, he doesn't get what he deserves. So,
I feel like that's a hard thing to say.
yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It made me sad, that interaction, because, I mean, Duiker sent Culp to go retrieve Haboric. And now there's this saddened notion that Haboric is on a horse right next to Duiker's body and has no idea it's him.
Yeah.
Has no idea it's him. The last thing that I had is just the whole Gistel priest thing is driving me crazy. Like, what is he? In all other instances, we hear of priests. They are always followed up by the god's name, whereas Gistel is not. So it made me just kind of go on this tangent or rabbit hole. And does it have something to do with the First Empire, or is it maybe a priest of an elder god, or even the holds that we were introduced to, kind of earlier on in the book when Fellows and Culp and Haboric were in that cave, the cave of the First Empire, or underneath a city or whatever, and they came across those ancient holds, kind of the ancient form of the deck of dragons.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if it's just not more of a organized religion or something.
Maybe. But isn't that how the elder gods were formed?
I don't know. I don't remember. I don't know.
But they were worshipped, right? From what we learned
right.
in the moon with K. Rule, is that fell because he was no longer worshipped or something like that, right?
That's why I wonder if this isn't just more this is more of a religion than you're worshiping a specific deity.
Got it. Fair. That word, for whatever reason, and the lack of explanation to it is just it's been driving me nuts this whole book.
I'm not saying my explanation's any good, but that's just what I think of.
Got it. No, that's fair. I mean, there's definitely a lot of mystery around Malacrel, and I'm sure that all in good time things will be revealed.
I'm sure, yeah.
I feel like I had a lot of things in that section, but it was, just kind of establishing contact with the two armies, and the plan moving forward. I feel like we're kind of the basic premise of the section.
Well, ready to move on?
Ready if you are.
All right. Well, don't go too far. This will be over pretty quick. Heberic was the last, sitting idly on his horse, looking up at a corpse that told him nothing. There was no end to the laughter he heard within his head, the laughter that was carried on the wind, blowing through the iron gate at his back. He thought, what am I not meant to see? Is it you who have truly blinded me now, Fenner? Or is it that stranger of jade who flows silent within me? Is this a cruel joke or some kind of mercy? See what has become of your wayward son, Fenner, and know most assuredly, know that I wish to come home. I wish to come home. I think you could cue up some Kansas here. Carry on. Or dust on the wind, maybe. Either would work.
I like Carry On, Wayward Son. So what do you make of this whole laughter that he's hearing?
Part of me, part of me wonders if it's Duiker a little bit.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Or is it Fenner? I I don't know. I wonder, just because of what we found out later in this chapter, that maybe Duiker's not completely gone. It's, but I don't know what he'd be laughing about.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's definitely a possibility. I remember our conversation with Jan in one of our wrap ups, and he was saying that Fenner does make a return in this book. But
I don't really ever feel like we got that.
right.
So unless this is it, yeah, I don't
Unless
know.
he slipped and, said something he wasn't supposed to. But I mean,
That's
I guess
possible.
I don't know. I mean, regardless, it's still a mystery either way. But yeah, it's just the jade finger. And I know that he talks about it, the jade who flows silent within me, and then Fenner. So it's just like those two things that happened previously or earlier on in the book, we still don't have any answers to. House of Chains, we'll find out in another year.
Maybe.
But
This little section, just, I feel like Hebrick's ready to give up. Like, he almost wishes he could die.
you think that's what he means by home?
A little bit. Well, I mean, just think about it, though. I mean, all this shit he's been through and seen, like, I wouldn't blame him a whole lot.
I interpreted home by saying, like, he wishes to be a priest of Fenner again.
Oh, yeah, that could be too. Guess I'm just the dark cloud hanging over you today.
Or maybe it is Fenner that's laughing, but like a comforting laugh, like,
I didn't get that sense
well.
that it was a comforting laugh. I kind of had the sense that it was like a maniacal laugh, like.
Yeah, I guess it's hard to say. I'm not tied to it. I'm not going to take a pie for it, but yeah.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we're going to have to figure out a time to do that soon.
Yep. I don't know, man. I still don't think I still think the second one is not credible at this point.
Well, you are down 2-0 in the voting on that.
God fucking damn it. Well. Oh, I don't want to. All right. Well, I guess I will admit defeat on the second one. But if I find out you're taking 4 pies.
Okay.
All right. Sounds good. We have a deal.
I don't know that Jan would lead us that far astray, but maybe he did.
No, not at all. I think the book, honestly, at this point, I don't think we're going to get anything direct from it. I think it's kind of an interpretation thing. But, I mean.
Well, you know what? We could go right to the source here in a couple of weeks if you would like.
We definitely could. We'll tell him about it.
I think that would be worthwhile.
Maybe he'll get a kick out of it.
Yeah.
I think he would. Yeah, anyway, what do you say? Should we move on to the next section here?
Carry on.
You're funny. Blistig stood at the parapet, watching the adjunct and her retinue ascend the steps that led to the palace gates. She wasn't as old as he would have liked, but even at that distance, he sensed the rumored hardness of her. An attractive younger woman walked at her side, the adjunct's aide and lover. On the other side of Tavor was the captain of her family's house guard, a man named Gimlet Gamut. He had the look of a veteran, and that was reassuring. Captain Keneb approached and told the commander no luck. Blistig frowned and sighed. The scorched ship's crew had disappeared as soon as it had docked and offloaded the wounded soldiers from Coltane's 7th Army. He wanted the crew present for the adjunct's arrival, as he suspected that she would want their recollection of the events that took place. Keneb told Blistig that the 7th survivors had been assembled for Tavor's inspection. Blistig asked if that meant the Wiccans as well. Keneb said aye, and even the warlocks among them. Blistig shivered at the thought about the warlock children. Squint was still missing. Blistig knew he would never see that man again. Heroism and murder would be a hard thing for any man to live with. Keneb cleared his throat and asked about the survivors. Blistig responded by saying that he knew, but inside his head he thought about them being broken, and that mended flesh could only do so much. Keneb is then heard saying that they should head below, as the adjunct is almost at the gate. Ballistic sighed and then said that they should go and meet the adjunct Tavor. So first thing, Scorched ship's crew had disappeared. So it sounds like Stormy, Gessler, Truth bailed as soon as they arrived in Aaron. And I know we kind of get a little bit of an answer to that, but I wonder why they're doing it so urgently.
I guess depending on the timing when they arrived, maybe they wanted to help. I mean, even if they would have died too, they wanted to, I guess, go down with the ship, so to speak. Yeah, I mean, I guess now you're probably just looking for your friends, I suppose.
That's true. Yeah. The other thing that I had was when they were talking about the recollection of the events, and Adjunct Tavor wanting to hear, I guess, the story from the wounded soldiers, is that even if they were, or even if Stormy, Gessler, and Truth were there to hear or to tell Tavor the story, I just thought it was kind of funny because I immediately go to Stormy and telling stories and how terrible he is at it. So it's kind of, yeah, I laughed. I'm like, well, if they were there, hopefully it wasn't Stormy that would deliver that tale because things may not get translated very well.
I did not think about that at all. Well, that's a really good point.
I just thought that was really funny. So, because I remember when they were taking that little boat on the River Vathar, and Stormy was telling the recollection of, or telling the story of the Solanda, and Duiker is just like, oh my god, this guy fucking sucks at telling stories, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, that was all that I had. Definitely kind of moving things along, setting the scene, right? Tavor is in Aaron. She's arrived. She's there. She's going to get a breakdown of what happened, I would imagine, from the Warlocks and from the Wounded Seventh that came on the Solanda.
Yeah, we didn't get much of Tavor here, but I'm pretty sure she's never been to a Dave and Buster's. Like, she doesn't know what fun is. I'm 100% certain of it.
You don't think so?
No, just like, this rumored hardness to her. Like, maybe she hasn't even ever smiled in her life. Like, she's just
all serious. Nope.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who she reminds me of, and I'm not really sure, but she's just a fun sucker. Like, I don't know.
I feel like we don't even get anything about her. I don't even know how you're able to, what type of evidence you have for this.
Just 2 words, rumored hardness.
It's fair. So probably just that very strict woman that don't take no shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, and we saw what she did to her sister.
Yeah. Why that eluded me, fair. Good point. I'll take it.
I mean, you sent your sister literally through Murderer's Row, packed her on a slave ship, and shipped her across the ocean.
But, okay, now I'm going to be devil's advocate a little bit. If you're going to be that hard, why send a former Talon or a Talon to protect your sister? That doesn't seem hard
and fair. Maybe she just wants to try to kill her herself. I don't know. But there's a lot of opportunities for things to go really wrong. Like, just about every turn, Felsen could have been killed by something or another, right? And then she even sent him off once she figured out what he was doing. Yeah, but that's a good point. Tavor's the fucking Grinch. That's what she is. Her heart's 3 sizes too small.
I love it. That's a great comparison. Just the Grinch. Isn't wait. That's funny. So you watched How I Met Your Mother, right?
I never.
Well, there's an episode, I think it was like a Christmas episode, and Ted called. So, he's basically telling the story of how he met his mother. And in this particular tale, he's talking about one of his friend's wife, and how she goes like overboard on the Christmas decorations. And I don't remember the specifics, but because he's telling the story to his kids, he's like editing out curse words. And he basically calls her a bitch. but he says Grinch in telling the story to his children. So that just Grinch binch. Yeah.
Gotcha. I don't know if I saw that one. I watched the first few seasons at least. It's about all I couldn't tell you too much on that.
It's an interesting show. Anyway, I guess I'm curious. I'm very interested to learn more about Tavor. And I almost feel like this feud between Felazin and Tavor is all going to come down to some misunderstanding. Like Felazin at this point is telling us, not Felazin, Shaikh Reborn is telling us that she got into a fight with her sister because she is assumed, right, that Tavor killed her parents or accuses her, right? So that word accuse makes me think that she doesn't really have all of the details or all of the evidence. She's just pinning it on Tavor, but there very well could be some unforeseen circumstances that haven't been revealed to us. And now what's going to happen is Tavor is going to find out that her sister is now Shaikh Reborn and is going to couple that with all of these dead men nailed to trees 3 leagues on both sides of a road and get more pissed off and assume or accuse her sister of like partaking in that horrible scene. So I think it's just escalating, you know? Like now she has a reason to be pissed, but it really wasn't Shaikh that did it.
I guess we'll have to carry on, read on, find out.
All right. Well, I find that interesting, just that thought, and I'm curious as to see how that plays out.
I would not doubt that there is some sort of misunderstanding out there, like you're thinking. I would not doubt that at all.
All right. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see, right?
Yeah, but I agree with you.
All right, sir. You ready for your next section?
Yes, sir.
Take her away.
Mappo set to carry him down in the sand as gently as he could and fashioned a tarp over his friend to protect him from the sun as best he could. Though there was very little he could do about the smell. It wouldn't be the most pleasant smell to wake up to. They were beyond the ruined village now, and the shadow of the Black Gate could not reach them where he had set up camp. The Warren of the Azath had spit them out 10 leagues to the north days ago, and Mappo had carried his friend the entire distance, looking for some place where there were no signs of death. He had hoped to have found that place by now, but instead he was greeted with the inverse. He heard a wagon and stood up to the noise. A cart with a single ox, its driver and 2 men crouched in the bed. They did not move fast and stopped at every tree, looking at the body nailed to it for a minute or two before moving on. Mappo made his way towards the cart, and the driver parked it, drawing a massive flint sword. He told Mappo he better think twice if he was bringing trouble. Mappo said he wanted no trouble, saying that for days he had walked among the dead, and they were the first living he'd seen in days. He had begun to think that he was stuck in one of Hood's own nightmares. The driver said he figured he was right in that assumption, and he told the other 2 members to lower their crossbows, and that maybe he had bandages they could trade for. Mappo asked if they had injured soldiers, and that he did have some small skill in healing. One of the soldiers gave a small smile and said he would doubt he would want to waste his skills. It's not soldiers they had, but a pair of dogs. They had found them at the fall, and they figured Hood didn't want them yet, but they couldn't believe they were still alive as they were riddled with holes. By now, the driver had gotten off the wagon and had been walking up the road inspecting each corpse. Mappo recognized they were looking for someone. The corporal nodded and said that was correct, but the bodies were pretty far gone by this time. But Stormy said he would recognize him when they saw him, if he was there. Mappo asked how far this went, and was told it went the whole way to Aaron. 10,000 soldiers, give or take. And they had looked at them all. Mappo looked away. He had asked what the fall was. He was told it was where Coltane and the 7th went down. These 2 dogs were the only survivors. Coltane had guided 30,000 refugees from Hissar to Aaron, even though it was an impossible task. He did it even though they were ungrateful, and his reward was to be cut down within sight of the gate. no one helped him. Mappo could only say he knew nothing of those events or how they unfolded, to which the three said they figured as much and that he must have been hiding under a rock. Mappo said he would look at the dogs. The leader said that was fine, but they didn't expect much, but the lad had taken a liking to the dogs. Mappo found the boy hunched over a red, torn mass of flesh and bone, waving flies away. Mappo could barely see. He asked where the other dog was. He pulled back a cloth that revealed a tiny dog. All four legs had been intentionally broken, and there was pus everywhere. The dog shook with a fever. The boy said the little one was left on the big one. Mappo said neither would survive. The big one may already be dead. The boy said no, he was still alive and he could feel its heartbeat, but it was fading. Gessler had told him maybe they should give the dogs mercy, but he still had hope. Mappo rose to leave when he heard the one named Gessler running to join the one named Stormy. Yes, Mappo thought to himself that Icarium would wake up and he would grieve, and lead him to wonder, and that his grief begins with Icarium for his loss of memories. Memories not of horror, but of gifts given so freely, too many dead. How would Icarium answer this? Mappo looked down Aaron Way for a long time. The boy rose from over the cattle dog when he heard boots. He asked Gessler if Stormy had found him. He was told no. They thought for a minute they did, but it was not. The boy thanked his lucky stars and said that meant there was a chance. They told Truth that it was hard to say. The boy thanked Mappo for taking a look at the dogs. He was hopeful that he would have been able to save them and asked if he wanted to ride down to Aaron. Mappo said his kind were not welcome at Aaron and declined, but thanked them for the offer. As they left, Mappo called out and raced after the cart with his pack as he was digging through it. Yeah, just more dead people everywhere, rotting. We get another look at the morgue, up close and personal here. I couldn't imagine, strolling through this, looking at 10,000 dead bodies, looking for your friend. I mean, what a terrible thing.
And you think they're looking for Duiker?
Yes.
What makes you think it's Duiker?
I suppose they could be looking for Coltane too, because I suppose they don't know he got blasted in the head with an arrow.
Yeah. Also, do you think...
mean, it's got to be one of those two.
You don't think that it's Culp? Because they did get separated.
I guess, I don't know. I guess these guys wouldn't have known that Duiker had that little vial, right?
Right.
I don't know. That was what was in my head, is that they were looking for Duiker because of the little vial. But, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. What were your thoughts then?
Well, I mean, I seem to remember that they didn't really care for the historian too much. The specific details elude me, but I feel like it had something to do when Duiker first encounters them off the banks of the Vathar, and Stormy mentions something about him hearing a lot about Duiker. And from that interaction and from the way that I read that phrase said, I felt like the tone was very filled with disdain. So I'm wondering if they're looking for Culp.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know why. It was in my head from the get-go that they were looking for Duiker for some reason.
Fair enough.
Interesting.
I mean, that's what I originally thought too. I don't disagree with you at all. That very well could be the possibility, but yeah, I don't. Part of me thinks that it's Culp because they got separated and they're just making sure that he's not there.
Yeah, I could see that.
So, yeah.
I know I didn't have any really notes on this, but we had text about this, and I told you I wanted to talk about how I feel some comparisons here between the two dogs.
Yeah, I was waiting when you were going to reveal the dirt. I'm like, what? Talk about it.
Like I said, I think maybe I don't know. So the big dog, I feel like, is maybe a comparison to Coltane, and the little one is the refugees, right? Just because of how the dogs are found, you got the little one on the big one, right?
Yep.
It was carrying the little dog, right? Just as Coltane figuratively carried these refugees from this are to Aaron. Like, he literally did everything he could to get them there. And obviously, like, not everybody made it, but I feel like there's a comparison there to be made between the two. And I don't feel that I got a lot of great words to explain it, just that to me, it feels like Coltine would be the big dog protecting the small dog, the refugees, carrying them to where they needed to go, getting them to where they need to go, you know, taking the brunt of everything to get them there as safely as he can.
Right. That is a profound comparison. I never would have in a million years put that together. So
No,
fucking makes so much sense. That makes a lot of sense to me.
It was, I think, kind of dawned on me either the second time I was reading it or when I was summarizing it. It just kind of clicked in my head.
It's amazing how much summarizing a section of a book can make you see things in a different light than just reading it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I could just be making shit up there, but I mean, in my head, it kind of fits.
Well, I mean, there's definitely symbolism. Maybe that's a question we ask Mr. Erickson. Is there symbolism in bent? I'm assuming the big cattle dog is bent.
I thought so too. Yeah.
And then the lapdog is the Haganese roach dog or whatever.
Yeah. I definitely. Yeah. That was where my brain went also.
Do we want to ask him that question?
You have a document, right?
Yep.
Throw it on there. We'll see where the conversation goes. Maybe we ask it, maybe we don't.
The cattle dog and the lap dog surviving, or?
Well, yeah, and that's just it. Like, I could see the cattle dog, you know, presumably bent, not surviving, you know, sacrificing himself.
Yeah.
Like Coltane did.
We can I think that, I mean, obviously we should go through afterwards or before our interview, before Erickson is a guest on our show, and just kind of fine tune how we want to say these. So I'm just going to word this like very roughly. Does the cattle dog and lap dog surviving have symbolism between Coltane and the refugees? There we go.
That was all I really wanted to talk about there, I guess, unless you had anything.
Not at all. You know, it's reestablishing Mappo and Icarium here. At least now we know where they went after they left the Warren, Tremolor's Warren. I think it's interesting that they got dumped here, though. Like, why would Mappo want to come here?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, 10 leagues, so that's 30 miles. I don't know. Maybe we can talk about it a little bit later here after. I don't remember if it's my section or yours. Yeah.
All right, we could swing back. But
I've got. I don't know if it's thoughts directly to that, but I mean, definitely. I would think you and I will see eye to eye on this.
Okay.
But I guess we'll just have to find out.
Sounds good to me. Well, I guess with that being said, I'm ready to move on if you are.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Iscarol Poost walked down the dusty path. He paused to scratch violently at all parts of his clothes. A moment later, he shrieked and started tearing at his clothes. Hundreds of spiders fell to the ground and sought refuge in the cracks on the ground. Poost screamed that he knew it and to show themselves. The spiders reappeared. Poost staggered back and watched as the Divers assembled into a human form. He found himself facing a black-haired woman. He told the woman that she thought he had him fooled, but he knew she had been lurking around. The woman sneered and told the priest that she did have him fooled. She calls him a thick-skulled idiot, just like every Dalhanese man she'd ever met. He retorted by saying that only a Dalhanese woman would say that. She makes a quip about back at this comment. Poost then asked her what her name was. She says her name is Mogora, and that she'd been with him for months. She tells him that she saw him lay the false trail and saw him painting those hand and paw marks on the rocks. Poost explains that she'll never reach the real gate. She explained that she doesn't want to, and asked, as he circled her, why she didn't want to. She turned to keep him always at her front and explained that she escaped Dalhan to be rid of idiots. Why would she ascend just to rule over other idiots? Poost makes a comment about her being a true Dalhanese hag and throws a series of insults towards her. She does the same thing. They start walking down the trail, both arguing over the list of insults they could throw at each other. They kind of seem perfect for each other.
Yeah, it's love at first sight for sure.
Right. Even though he hates spiders.
Well, that I was like, well, what the hell? Because she clearly must have been there. Because it wasn't like the first time we met Poost, he was like trying to kill spiders and stuff. Like he wanted a broom to, smash the spiders and things in his cave or whatever. So I think she must have been there from the get-go. We just didn't really know it.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense him saying that, like, I knew it, when he was screaming, I knew it. So I think that he was definitely seeing spiders all around. And I don't know, it was just kind of a not very important way of giving us an explanation to that like manicness, that craziness.
Well, maybe it just makes him, he's not that crazy, right? I mean, he's crazy, but like there's like, I don't know, is validness a word?
Validity?
Sure. Yeah, that sounds better.
I'll take it. Sure. It works for me. But also, Megora, like, who the fuck is this lady? Why the hell is it out of left field? And at the same time, why does this name sound so familiar?
Because it rhymes with Quick Ben.
No, it doesn't remind you, fucking dick. It does.
It rhymes with Quick Ben. You don't hear it?
I'm never gonna live that down. You know what? I am never gonna make any type of associations ever again.
You know what? You actually do pretty good because you've nailed a couple of them.
Like what? Rigga's one. What's the other one?
Servant.
Oh, servant. I feel like there was one more. And Sulk was Pearl.
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah, 3. And I'm just giving you shit on everything else. But yeah, you've gotten 3 for sure.
But the name Megora doesn't ring a bell to you? It doesn't sound familiar at all?
Moby. That's the only other M name I can really remember right now.
I feel
Malik.
Like I don't. Part of me is like, did I read it in something else? Is this another name from another book or show or movie? But just something about that name seems familiar.
Mowgli? Like, are you thinking of the Jungle Book?
No, I'm not thinking of the Jungle Book.
I mean, that one was kind of close.
Not really.
I don't know then.
Your Quick Ben quips are now expired. They no longer deal any damage. Okay, well then, to me it sounds familiar, but I don't know. When she was introduced, like, I guess, how did you react to that the first time?
Not really. I guess I wasn't like super surprised just because like the spiders were kind of made as a point before. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess it checks out that it was a divers, right? So yeah. Like it's not like, the spiders, like they gotta be somebody, but I'm not surprised. Like, okay. I guess maybe I could have seen it coming.
Gotcha. I guess the hard part for me is I was just under this headcanon that Divers and Soul Taken were like lured to Ascension. Like they didn't have a choice in the matter. And now this kind of gets thrown up there. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. I thought you didn't have a choice. But maybe it's not necessarily about choosing or being forced to find the path of hands, right? But more it's just the call of power, right? That lures.
Yeah. Is it like an instinctual thing? Like,
right.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, yeah, I'm definitely curious as to what now this new character at the end of a book is, what their purpose is, And I feel like, again, it's a book, yes. It's the end, yes. But at the grand scheme of things, it's one giant ass long story. So
yeah, maybe it's just it just shows Like, he's not completely insane, like I was saying, that there's a little bit of reason to his madness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder, is she going to play a role in future books, or is she just kind of a one-off?
I don't think so. Why go through all that work just to throw it away?
Fair. Yeah, I don't know.
I'm sure that she'll come back in some shape or form. I mean, they're clearly both doll honeys, right? Because they're making fun of each other in that type of culture. So I'm wondering if there's a partnership here or some type of we're going to work together to accomplish X.
I could see them teaming up.
Yeah, I can see it too.
They'd be a dysfunctional couple, I think, but I mean,
and a very interesting couple, maybe.
Yeah, they're gonna team up against all the Baccarat flying around.
Right. Yeah, they're gonna team up and torture the Baccarat.
I don't know.
They're gonna leave poop on the Baccarat's pillows.
And they're gonna have twice as much shit because there'll be two of them.
Right. Exactly. All right. Well, moving on from the poop. The last thing is that it was nice to know that we were right in our speculations about Poost laying the false trail.
I feel like that was definitely more you than me, but
I feel like you agreed to it, though.
Oh, I'm sure I did after you explained it. It wasn't something that I wouldn't have saw had you not said something.
Fair enough. Well, I mean, we're a team. We agreed. We didn't argue about it. So it's not our speculations.
No. Right. Well, anything else there?
No, not at all. We're ready for your next novel here.
I spent a lot of time on this.
I could tell. It really shows.
All right. I'll get through this as quickly as I can. Silently, the undead dragon rose from its perch on the mesa's summit. Black eyes momentarily watched the two figures that raced back to the cliff face. The dragon's attention was taken only for a moment before an ancient warren opened in front of the dragon, swallowing it whole, then closing.
Riveting.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Like, the dragon must have been watching Magora and Iskarol go back, but what dragon do you think this was? Do you think this is like one of the three that Apsalar and her crew saw in the Warren, one of those three that dove bomb through? Or do you think it was the dragon that was in the Warren with the Solanda?
I think it's the one in the Solanda.
Because it was described as undead?
Yes. I don't think the other three were described as undead.
I don't remember, but I would take your word on that.
Yeah. I think they just said 3 dragons flew by.
Yeah, there's not really much there, I guess.
No, so not really.
We can certainly move on here right away here if you'd like.
Well, I mean, this was another thing that was out of fucking left field. What do you think it's doing? I mean, it's just going from one warren, or maybe I don't know if it's going from one warren, but I can only assume that means that they unleashed this dragon into Raraku when Culp, shifted warrens, right?
Yeah, I guess I don't know what it's doing, where it's going, why. It just is.
Well, is it potentially? I feel like they mentioned something about guardian of the path of Azath, or not the path of hands. So I'm wondering if this is, and again, Talani Mass and Soul Taken and Divers they're related, or they're the right hand of the Talan or something. So I'm wondering if it's like the guardian of the path of hands or something.
But then why would it leave?
Maybe it has something to do with Magora.
Possible. I don't know. I think a dragon could probably take her out if it wanted to.
Yeah. So
I have zero ideas on
that. I do too. That's okay. We can move on.
I feel like we're definitely grasping for straws.
Yeah. I won't make a fool of myself. I'm not going to say it's Quick Ben. So
hey, you said it, not me.
Yeah. Yep. That's the one I'm going to give you. All right. Poost and Megora started at the spot in the or stared at the spot in the sky for a moment. Poost is heard saying, you weren't fooled, were you? You came here to guard the true gate. Ever mindful of your duties, you Talani mass. You bone casters with your secrets that drive me mad. Megora says that Poost was born mad. Poost ignored the woman's comment and continued addressing the vanished dragon. He said, well, this crisis is past, isn't it? Could you have held against all those children of yours? Not without Iscarol Poost. Oh no, not without me. Megora laughed. Poost glared at her and then scampered ahead, stopping beneath the lone window high cliff tower. He had said that he was home. Poost started dancing, and Megora watched with one eyebrow raised. One of the Boakrala peered through the window. Megora said to look as one of his fawning worshippers was poking its head out of the window. Poost replied that she was not funny. Megora said that she was hungry. But who would cook now that Servant was gone? Poost said that she would cook, of course. Megora didn't like this and flew into a rage. Poost watched her with a small smile on his face. He thought to himself that at least he hadn't lost his calm, or his charm.
I guess I did not remember that part where Poost, and nice job on the Poost voice also, it was good.
Thank you.
Or he was talking about guarding the gate, so I mean, that must be the easy answer, right?
I would assume, yeah. But, against all those children of yours, right? Like, is this like the mother or father of all the D'Ivers and Soul Taken?
Or is this our rogue?
Rogue what? Oh, think so?
Maybe.
I mean, I guess that they never said if it was a person that they were searching for when they were on the Solanda.
Well, they said one of their kin.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know that I would hedge all my bets on it, but I would think it's a decent possibility.
Yeah, I would too. But hey, Poost is home. He's back where he started.
All right. Woohoo.
Woohoo. Yeah, I don't really have any major thoughts about that. I think that Poost is a little bit of a womanizer, but making her do all the cooking and then smiling about it as she gets pissed off.
I mean, is Poost expecting to get laid first before he gets like a sandwich, or?
I don't think so.
Because I don't think that's happening.
No, not at all. He's just being a dick.
Yeah, he's a goofy guy.
Yeah, goofy goober.
Yeah.
All right, sir. Well.
All right. Well, here we go. Section 8. The enormous wagon was in a cloud of dust well off the road while the horses were slow to calm down, stamping and tossing their heads. Two creatures that stood knee-high scampered from the wagon on their legs towards the road, their long arms held out to the sides. They seemed to resemble Bakarala, but somehow they were speaking Daru. The smaller one asked if it was sure. Frustrated, the larger one snapped back, saying it was the one that was linked, not Erp, or the other one, and that Baruch wouldn't be foolish enough to give Erp anything besides grunt work. Erp told Rudd that he was right, and he was good at grunt work. They made their way up the road towards the last tree lining the road. They looked silently up at the withered corpse that occupied the tree. Erp said he didn't see anything and thought Rudd was losing it, but wouldn't admit. Rudd told Erp that he was one word away from killing him. Erp told him fine, he would die well. Rudd pulled himself up onto the chest of the rotting corpse. Fumbling in his shirt, he pulled out a folded piece of paper and frowned when he unfurled it. Erp asked what it was. Rudd said there was a name written on it. Sayles Lorthal. Erp said that was a woman's name. He wasn't a woman. Was he? Irritated, Rudd said of course not, and that mortals were odd. He dug under the shirt quickly, locating what he was looking for, drawing out a small bottle of smoky glass. Rudd said it broke all right. He could see the cracks. He bit through the cord and took the bottle down. Holding it to the sun, he looked through it and determined he was in the bottle. Erp wanted to leave, but Rudd told him, no, not yet. They had to take the body with, even though there was nothing left. Mortals were weird. You wouldn't want a different body. and since this one was almost gone, it wouldn't weigh much. Herb grumbled, but began pulling out the spikes as Rudd hurried him, saying it was eerie here. Yeah, this was weird. Like, this whole thing was kind of weird. Like, I wasn't expecting these little fucking goblins to become hopping out of wherever they came from and start grave robbing Duiker here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell they are. I just kind of imagined Dobby from Harry Potter.
I imagined, I don't know if you remember the Disney movie Hercules, but the two companions of Hades, the like
one was like red and the other was blue, right?
Yep. One was fat, one was like tall and skinny.
Yeah, I remember what you're talking about.
Yeah, one's kind of dopey, the other one's like almost logical, but like comedically.
Yeah. I found the female Marine's name here interesting. Say less, as in he never got to learn her name, much less speak of her or to her. It was very minimal, his conversations with her, from what we had seen in their interactions anyways.
Well, right. But doesn't it make it sad that he doesn't know her name, but we do?
Yeah. That was, I guess that's a question we don't have to ask now because we found out what it said.
Maybe. Was it just her name, or did she write something and then sign her name?
True. That's a good point.
Also, in his mind, Duiker went to the grave, not putting her name on the Book of the Fallen in his head. Like, yeah, he wrote that shit down, but I mean, how many times have we heard him thinking about that premise, about the book of the people of the fallen, and knowing their name was terrible because then it was just this mental idea of how many people would be in this book, etc., etc.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no way you could. I mean, he couldn't learn all 10,000 names. I mean, he'd have to have somebody, reciting them to him while he wrote them down, which would still be like a daunting and like awful thing to do, to be that personal.
Yeah, I find it beautiful, but at the same time sad.
Very, very sad. I don't know what I was expecting out of that little glass bottle, but I wasn't expecting it to. I guess I don't know how you would explain it, I guess, but it had like captured his soul, I guess, or something.
That's what I'm imagining.
But he seems, I would hesitate to say that he's alive. And part of me wonders, is Baruch going to reanimate him somehow, or is he just going to hold on to this thing and just keep him from ever getting out? But then I wonder, well, what was the point then of giving it to him? And I know it wasn't intended for him, it was intended for Coltane. So I'd have to think there's going to be an attempt to bring him back somehow, but I don't know, like, how are you going to be different? Because I can't imagine you're going to be the same person coming out of that thing that you were going into it.
Yeah, I mean, probably not. My question, though, is, and you touched on it a little bit, and it was intended for Coltane, but do you remember the instructions that Coltane was supposed to do? Break it on his chest.
You're supposed to break it. Yeah, which I still think this was broken on Duiker's chest.
Right, but how does Baruch know that Duiker has it?
Maybe they think it's Coltane that's in there. I don't know. Maybe.
So you think that they think that it's Coltane's body
or soul or whatever the hell is in there,
and it's really.
I would think that's a possibility. I mean, because there's no way that they could tell just by the
corpse.
The corpse. So yeah, maybe they think it's Coltane, because I don't get the impression that. Well, I don't know. Maybe the word did spread really fast that Coltane bit an arrow. Maybe that story's out there. So maybe I don't know. I'm like 50-50 on it. Maybe they know it's Duiker, or maybe they think it's Coltane. I don't know.
Yeah. See, I think that they were looking for Coltane. These two little things that resemble Boachrala are clearly here to just do a job and not really pay any attention to the details. So I think that they think that they're getting Coltane. And then Baruch, when the body and the vial get back to Jerusalem, is going to have a pleasant surprise. Because I think this was their attempt at saving him or utilizing him on Genebacchus, potentially.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like
You know what I've been...
Go ahead.
Sorry, finish your thought here, because mine's going to just... You're going to be like, what the fuck are you thinking about this for right now, Derek?
I honestly don't know where I was going with that, so it's cool.
Oh, I'm sorry I'm a jerk and interrupted you.
Oh, it's fine.
I feel like I do that a lot.
It's cool. I interrupt you, or I don't even let you talk, so you're good.
I keep thinking, like, what if Coltane and Animander Rake like teamed up? Like, what if they met for some reason? That's like the dream team, I feel like.
Yeah, I don't think there would be much getting past them, if anything.
But it's just been like a thought. Like, they're two pretty big badass dudes, so it would have been cool to see them work together.
Yeah. What I'm really looking forward to is some of these like elements of Jerusalem that we've got throughout this book with the Tri-Galley Trade Guild, which I'm pretty sure is the people or the guys that brought these two little Boakrala. Yeah. Right? Like you caught that too, the enormous wagon at the beginning.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to hopefully in Memories of Ice getting the other view of that, right? Like hopefully we get some parts where Baruch is kind of going through his plan on Coltane and some of this will kind of fall into place, as well as even this part, or, you know, them bringing back the body and the vial to Baruch and the reaction there.
Yeah, that'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah. But outside of that, this part was probably my favorite section in this book, as weird as it was. I loved all of the hope that I got when I read this section. Because I like Duiker. Some people don't, but I like him.
I do too. And so yeah, I think he's gonna he's gonna be like an asshole if he comes back.
You think so?
Yeah, because he's gonna be like, you fucking Muppets, like Pormqual's a dipshit and just surrendered and got me killed with 10,000 other people because he's a fucking idiot.
But maybe he warns them about the Gistal priest.
Yeah, but I think he's like, I'd be angry coming back. Like, do you just know? Like, do you know what I went through? And now I'm alive again, and I'm really pissed off that this happened in the first place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. Fair enough. I like it. Well, should we close out this chapter?
Let's close it out.
All right. Icarium's eyes slowly opened and saw the bestial face of Mappo looking down on him. With puzzled recognition, he said, "Mappo, my friend." Mappo asked how he felt. Icarium moved slightly and winced. He said that he was injured. Mappo said that the Jag had been injured, but the Troll had given away his last 2 elixirs and could not properly heal him. Icarium managed to smile and told his friend that the need must have been great. Mappo admitted that Icarium may not think so, as he used the last 2 elixirs on a couple of dogs. Icarium's smile increased and said that they must have been worthy beasts, as he looks forward to that tale. He then asked to be helped to his feet. Mappo supported the Jag as he got to his feet. Icarium, when he found his balance, he raised his head and looked around. He asked where they were. Mappo asked what he remembered. Icarium admits that he remembers nothing, but no, wait, they had sighted a demon, an Aptorian, and decided to follow it. Mappo tells Icarium that they were dumped from a warren far to the south. His head had struck a rock and lost consciousness. Following that Aptorian was a mistake indeed. Icarium asked how long. Mappo said that it was just a day. Icarium steadied, and Mappo let go, but kept a hand on his shoulder. The Troll said that the Jag Odin lies west from here. Icarium said that this was a good direction, as he feels close this time. Mappo wanted to take it easy, so they waited an hour before they were ready to leave. Icarium needed to sharpen his sword and oil his bow. And when the Jag was ready, he nodded at Mappo, and they set off westward. After some time of walking, Icarium glanced at Mappo and said, "What would I do without you, my friend?" Mappo simply said to perish the thought. As they reached the Jag Odon, the wasteland stretched unbroken. Man, it's just the part where Icarium is explaining what he remembers. It's just super sad. He remembers literally nothing from after the first chapter in this book. And it seems to me that being within Tremolor's proximity has something to do with his ability to regain little bits of memories at a time. So hopefully somewhere in the series we get to see that fulfilled.
Yeah, because it just seems like it's just like this is. I got the impression that this is just a cycle, really. I don't know if you felt that way. You know, they go through all this shit. He doesn't remember anything. They walk off into the sunset, rinse, wash, repeat. You know, that's the impression I get that's been going on for however many thousands of years.
But isn't that kind of like time?
Yeah, it is. Good point.
So essentially, they're trying to break time. But we know that based on the last chapter, that this is intended. It is intended for Icarium to not have his memories. They want this warren broken, whoever that is. And they want it to stay broken, which is why they were cool with Tremolor having Icarium. Because if he's trapped in eternity in an Azath, how is he ever going to get out to mend the warren?
I guess he not.
Right. But there's still that opportunity because he's not a prisoner of Tremolor.
It'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, it will be. But I just get this feeling that Mappo is just like, well, here we go again. You know what I mean? Like he himself was so close to freedom, but at the end couldn't give up his friend. And that is powerful. Like he is willing to walk the earth and realms and wherever they go, repeating the same questions. I feel like he's a teacher. Every year, teachers have the similar curriculums. They talk about the same things, same subjects, and yet their passion for inspiring minds keeps them going and doing the same repetitive tasks.
Yeah. I mean, things might get revised a little bit. You might learn a new way. Yeah, it's kind of the same stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. How did you feel as an ending point to this book? I feel like it, as you said, walking into the sunset was a good way to put it. I feel content. I feel whole. Yes, I have questions, but I feel like from the beginning of the book to this very last sentence, fine.
Yeah, I still, for whatever reason, I still feel a little bit like unfulfilled, I guess. Like, I feel like there should be more. And obviously, I know we have other books, but I don't really know what I mean. It's just, I feel like I'm missing something.
I think that's the point. We're supposed.
Well, I don't like that.
Something. Well, get over it.
Okay,
get over it. You're fine.
I'm fine.
It's Quick Ben. Quick Ben is the crippled god. Yes.
He's everybody.
Yes. Everywhere, all at once.
It's an ending for sure. But yeah, I think it's a fitting ending.
I would agree. It makes sense. I mean, as far as like these characters' journeys at this point in time, like it's to me tied off beautifully.
Yeah, it really was. You know, and there's just a little bit of enough of some hope, I think.
Yeah, it's a good way to put it. I feel the same way. Yeah, man. Well, like I said, I don't have much for that section. I guess, should we move on to the epilogue?
Yeah, let's rip her up.
Do you want me to read the epilogue or do you want the honors?
I would take the epigraph if you want to just read. I mean, I know you wrote it all, so.
Yeah, that's fine. Sounds good to me.
All right. Hood's sprites are revealed. The disordered host whispering of deaths in wing flap chorus. Dour music has its own beauty, for the song of ruin is most fertile. Wiccan dirge, Fisher. You think that's talking about Cape Moths?
I think so.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
A young widow left her portable tent with a small clay flask clutched in her fist and walked out onto the grassland beyond the camp. When she'd gone several paces, she dropped to her knees, facing the Wiccan plain, her hands resting on her pregnant belly. The searching was complete, and the conclusions unavoidable. The child within her was empty, a babe without a soul. The vision of the horsewife's pale face hovered before the young woman. Her words whispered like the wind. Every warlock must ride a soul. The children they claimed were no different from children they did not claim. What grows within her possesses nothing. It has been cursed, and only for reasons the spirits would know. The child within her must return to the earth. She unplugged the small flask. There would be pain, but at least to begin with. After that, there would be a cool numbness. No one from the camp would watch, for the shame would be too great. The storm cloud hung on the north horizon. She hadn't noticed it before. It swelled and rolled closer. The widow raised the flask to her lips. A hand grabbed her at the last minute. The woman cried out and twisted around to see the horsewife. She was gasping, and her eyes were fixed on the storm cloud. The flask fell to the ground. Figures from the camp were now running towards the two. The young woman saw fear and what appeared to be hope in the horsewife's face. She asked what it was. The storm cloud darkened the rolling hills. The widow turned and gasped. The cloud wasn't a cloud. Terror ran through her. She thought to herself that they were flies. Oh, spirits below. The swarm grew closer. The horsewife screamed in anguish and released the widow's wrist and fell to her knees. The young widow's heart hammered in her chest with sudden realization. She thought to herself that these weren't flies, but crows. So many crows. Deep within her, the child stirred.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So, my guess is that the horsewife, after the searching for the soul of this babe was not found, that the pregnancy was to be terminated. And that's why she had to go out into this field by herself and drink whatever was in this clay flask.
What do they call it in like other series? Like I think Game of Thrones called it like a moon tea.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, I think I agree with you.
So is this Coltane reborn?
You know, I remember texting you, and when I had listened to our last episode that we put out, where Coltane gets killed and they're chucking bits of flesh on him as the crows are coming, and how I wondering if that didn't kind of muddy the waters, so to speak, with what the crows are picking up. And now I'm kind of wondering, I'm going to lean towards Coltane, but again, he's not going to be the same, but he's also going to have little bits of all the seventh that went down with him because of those bits of flesh that were thrown onto his body before he took the arrow to the head. So I think he's going to have a lot of rage, I think.
So his soul is going to be the same, but physically he's going to be an amalgamation of all the seventh?
No, I think he's going to have little bits of souls from his comrades also.
All right. I can see that. I
mean, if that goes anywhere, because part of me thinks too, like at the same time, like you go through the work of killing him off the way that he was killed, right?
Right.
And then it almost feels, even if he's not really the same, it seems kind of, I guess, like disingenuous to bring him back. And then to do that to a second character, I mean, again, if Duiker comes back, like I don't really feel like death is a meaningless thing in this book series. But if you just die and get brought back, then it kind of is meaningless in that sense.
Yeah. Well,
so I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they're going to come back, but if either one of them do, that's kind of what I feel like is he's going to have pieces of, Bolt and List and everybody else, he's going to have, I would be hesitant to say like their memories, but he's going to have, it might be a small piece, but he's going to have a little piece of them within whatever he comes back as or is reincarnated as.
Got it. I mean, I agree with you. I don't think it's Coltane for all the reasons you just listed. I think that it's actually Sormo.
I wouldn't be surprised either way. Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's just my personal feeling is I feel like it's Coltane, but I'm not going to be upset if I was wrong on that and it was Sormo that came back.
Yeah. I think that to do Coltane justice, he kind of has to stay dead. I would agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As sad as it was to like read that chapter, I think that he needs to stay dead.
Yeah, agree. But who knows what the hell's coming? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either, man. It's weird. We're down another book, and we'll be starting the third one. Well, admittedly, we have read the prologue, but it's not like anything ties into this episode. Or maybe it does, so we just don't know.
I mean, I did post a picture of the Memories of Ice and a beer on my deck last night, so... But
yeah, I mean, I feel like at this point, our listeners know that by the time that they listen to this, we're probably a couple chapters ahead already.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's still fun to talk about.
Definitely. I feel like we're kind of on a downer here for just finishing this book, but we did it. We've done well. This is, I guess, technically the third book that we finished, but the second Malazan book that we finished. The next one's even a little bit longer. It's got one more chapter. Yeah, we'll have to see what kind of ride we get there. It's weird to think that we're going to be starting a new book again. And like you said, it's been 9 months. It's been a while since we've done that.
Yes, it has. I'm curious as to where this book is going to take us and all of the, man, I could totally see why people like Deadhouse Gates so much. It is a dramatic improvement from Gardens of the Moon. And not that Gardens of the Moon is bad by any shape of the word, but just the way that everything is so much more visual. And I don't know if that's just because you're used to the way that he's writing at this point, and like you get an idea as to how to formulate images based on the way that he writes. And that's why it makes Deadhouse Gates a little bit more understandable. I don't know. Yeah, it was a good book. I'm happy that we made it through, and all the memories and the sadness that have come out of this book will stick with me for a very long time.
I agree. This will be a book that I probably think about for quite some time.
Absolutely. And everything is just being set up for more information to come down. Kind of a nice handoff to the next book, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, just since we've read that prologue, and I know I told you, I mean, if you look at the prologue from book 1, the prologue in book 2 turns it up to an 11. Well, I feel like the prologue for book 3 turns things up to a 21. It was just in like it. I don't know how to describe it. It was terrible and sad, but it was incredible too.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I would agree with all of that, sir. So
I'm looking forward to getting into that.
I guess any bold predictions before we read on in Memories of Ice?
Not yet, I don't think. I mean, that prologue drops us off at quite a different time, but yeah. I mean, I know we're not going to stay there, but I don't think I can start making predictions until we get into chapter 1.
Absolutely. Yeah.
How about you?
Well, I mean, I think we're going to, get back in touch with some of the characters that we left off in Gardens of the Moon. That alliance that they talked about when Kalam was confronting Lucine through a dead corpse. The Panian domain. I'm sure that's probably going to be brutal as fuck based on the way that it's talked about. I don't know what's going to happen with Fiddler. I don't know if we'll get to see him until the 4th book. There may be mentions of him, but I don't know where Kalam and Manala, what's going to happen with them, if they're going to try to find a way out of Shadow Throne or what the deal is. But yeah, Apsalar and Crocus and Relic. I don't know. I don't know where they're gonna. They seem like they got their happy ending. I don't know if they will come back or if it'll be a while before they come back.
Could be. I'm excited to come up with new nicknames again.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
Yes, it will be. I wonder how soon we can get on that. I feel like we didn't get our nicknames till, I don't know, almost halfway through the book already? Deadhouse Gates here.
Somewhere along the way. Yeah, should we wrap this up?
Let's wrap it up.
Well, guys, we did it. Survived. Thanks for sticking with us here. It's definitely been a journey. Saturday, we've got 10 Very Big Books live streams, so I know this will come out a couple weeks after that does, at least the live version, but hope to catch you guys there. Follow us on Twitter, leave us a review, Apple, Google, wherever. Seems like this last week things have climbed fairly quickly. A week ago tonight, we hit 8,000 total views or downloads or whatever verbiage you want to choose there. And in that week, we've gone up 200 more, which I don't know if we've had. It seems like a lot in a week to me. That has just gone fast. So we've had some pretty big jumps there. So that's exciting. Yeah, we're definitely excited to keep going.
Yeah. And also, if you guys prefer to listen to us on YouTube, or even if you don't prefer to listen to us on YouTube, please give us a like and subscribe. I feel like an absolute douchebag saying that, but I think that YouTube lowered their not standards, but like lowered their requirements. So I think that if we hit 500 subscribers, we get some additional benefits. So that would be cool to make that happen. Kind of a dream come true. Not really a dream that I ever thought I would accomplish or achieve or even be like attempting to obtain, but it would be nice to have some YouTube notoriety.
Nothing comes easy or everybody do it. So we'll stick to it, and I think we'll get there.
Oh, for sure.
Might take some time, but we'll get there.
Just if you're on the fence about it, just go ahead and give us a subscribe. We would appreciate it.
Definitely.
Well, I don't know. Part of me still wants to talk about Deadhouse Gates, but it's over.
I'm gonna join you. I'm gonna put it on the bookshelf. It'll be there. So.
Yep. All right, sir. Well, great episode. Yeah, we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll chat tomorrow, and if not, I'll be talking to you Saturday.
Hell yeah, man.
All right. Have a good night.
Yeah, take care, buddy.
See ya.
Bye.
Bye.